This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 191. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On today's episode, Vince has some pretty stern words for what he thinks about AEW. This Feel the Power creator maybe wants to go back to his real name. We've got the inside scoop on all of that. Also, a Queen of the Ring? Is WWE serious? We're going to tell you all about that. Of course, we're going to take a look at the biggest topics and trends taking place in the wrestling world, and doing it with me as always. He's the one. He's the only. He is the true king. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Well, cuz, I know we're going to talk about WWE, and we got to talk about everything going on in the world of wrestling, but my God, did Darby Allin and his promo on AEW, did he spark speculation that I can't wait to talk about? It was a good week of wrestling, and even though WWE, I think, is kind of taking a back seat, I still think a lot of good things are happening. I can't wait to record this podcast.
Yeah, this should be a pretty interesting episode. We are basically in the eye of the rumor storm, so you're going to want to stick around for our AEW conversation. But let's first kick this off with what kicked off on Monday night. With Monday Night Raw, how far has Keith Lee fallen? Does it not feel as though he is the odd man out? Like he is completely buried, and WWE has lost all faith in this man. This was a guy who not too long ago stood toe-to-toe, face-to-face, head-to-head with the biggest, baddest beast incarnate there was in Brock Lesnar. And he is a guy who can do some pretty spectacular things. Yet, the last two episodes of Monday Night Raw, Keith Lee has been completely squashed. For me, it feels as though he should go back to being that guy on the side of the milk carton. He was missing in action for so long, only to be brought back and only to be decimated yet again, this time by Karrion Kross. How far down is Keith Lee on this totem pole at WWE? It doesn't even feel like I don't know, it doesn't feel like there's any hope for him. I feel like he is the forgotten stepchild.
Yeah, it was sad to see. Obviously, Karrion Kross gets the rebound win. Keith Lee is being fed now. He's a jobber for a minute. It obviously, and then you saw the tweet that he posted online where he said, well, I'm just going to tell my story. Well,
which I'm so interested in. I'm interested in that.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody's wondering what happened for him to fall in such bad graces. But unfortunately, look, you can look at it from a number of perspectives. You still get to talk about Keith Lee, and he's still getting paid, but right now he might be in the midst of getting his character buried, which, bottom line, is not good if you're Keith Lee. It's good to see Karrion Kross obviously get the win, but yeah, if you're Keith Lee, you got to figure the writing's on the wall. Maybe he's voiced that he wants out, and now WWE is in full-born opportunity now to bury this guy. It's unfortunate. It's really sad, man. It sucks because you see the potential of a guy that stood toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar, and now he kind of looks like a guy that's at the bottom of the totem pole, and it's sad to see.
Yeah, no, it's brutal to see is what it is, because this is a guy who has so much charisma, so many high-flying moves, and yet it feels like WWE can't find a place for him. It really doesn't make sense. Something else that doesn't make sense. Where the hell is Randy Orton? Nobody knows where Randy Orton is. I'm not sure about you, but when AJ Styles and Omos were tearing apart the carcass of Matt Riddle, my expectation level for Randy Orton's music, for an RKO out of nowhere, for Randy Orton just to show up was probably on a scale of 1 to 10. It had to have been at least a 15. Where is Randy Orton? What was your expectation level for Randy Orton when all of this was going on?
I thought that, a guy like Randy Orton was going to be poised for a strong second half of 2021. And it's weird, too, because this is SummerSlam season. This is where you need to have all your big guns going. I don't know if he's on vacation, minor injury we don't know about. Maybe they're selling something. But it's unfortunate because, yeah, you had, this opportunity of a growing of a growing friendship with Riddle, or you could have paid it off with a turn. But now we don't know where Randy Orton's been, and I haven't seen anything in the rumor mill. So this might be a little break for him and just a scheduled time off kind of thing. Remember, the dude's been wrestling now damn near 20 years. So probably summer vacation, baby. We all need it. So Randy Orton, well deserved if he's not there, but it's a big hole because this is one of the top 3 stars in your company. And you would think at this point in time, you would call upon each and every resource that you have, Vince, but not the case for Randy Orton.
Yeah, it's weird that he's being, I don't want to say underutilized or just not utilized at all. I have no idea what's going on with Randy Orton right now. It's kind of crazy. But to me, the one thing that I ended up taking out of this segment, 1, I miss Randy Orton. 2, I miss RK Bro. But more importantly, the Raw tag division is missing that team. They're missing that piece. And I feel like RK Bro could be that missing piece to really help solidify a solid Raw tag division. I mean, you've got AJ Styles and you've got Omos, and they are obviously the top dogs. You also have the Viking Raiders. You've got a couple other teams that are kind of dispersed in there. I'm not sure what's exactly going on with the New Day or 2/3 of the New Day, but you've got them interspliced in there. I feel like RK Bro, when Randy Orton comes back, if Randy Orton comes back, I feel like it could really help solidify this tag division. Am I out of line saying that? Do you see something different? Could that be the case? Could RK Bro be the missing piece for this Raw tag division right now?
See, I don't even think that's enough. I mean, yeah, it's intriguing, but that's one team. It's been neglected at the highest level, and I think we've talked about it just based on history. Vince, at this point in time, does not value tag team wrestling to the degree in which is necessary to keep a viable division. It's so swung in the favor of AEW, where they legit got 4 or 5 tag teams at any given time. You could throw a match out there, and it's believable and fun. WWE, it's just an afterthought, and it's unfortunate now that it kind of, you get a sense too that, yeah, even though, you know, the champs are AJ Styles and Omos, do you really, does it mean anything at this point in time? Do you see them being a Hart Foundation 10-year tag team? Not really. It just seems like a nice internship for Omos working with AJ Styles. You know, he's eventually going to go off and be the world heavyweight champion. At this point in time, it's just de-emphasized. It's just not at the highest level of priority where it needs to be. And it's really unfortunate because good quality tag team wrestling, you know, it's fun to watch. It's just not emphasized.
You said something there that I think is really interesting. Are they a 10-year tag team? Are they like a Hart Foundation? No. And it's weird. No, they're not. But it's weird because when you watch tag team wrestling in WWE, it is set up to be torn apart. You know, everything is basically built off of what the Rockers were. That has become the WWE staple. The Rockers, when we were kids, were a fantastic tag team built of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, only to have Shawn Michaels throw Marty Jannetty through a barbershop window. And ever since then, you just kind of wait now for, you know, the turn. When's the turn happening? And you've seen the turn on NXT, and I think this is a good segue to get into what took place on NXT when Dakota Kai turned on Raquel Gonzalez. Now, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
and I think we've all kind of seen it coming, but that is what tag team wrestling is in WWE. Yeah. It is 2 people put together for one of them to eventually turn on the other. Now, you got it in NXT, and I think this is the difference between what you get on the red brand, the blue brand, and the yellow brand. I think NXT does it so much better. There's almost an eloquence about it that you don't get with Raw and you don't necessarily get with SmackDown. And I think what you ended up getting here with what took place on NXT with Dakota Kai turning on Raquel Gonzalez was fantastic. Raquel Gonzalez goes into the corner to hold up her belt, and she turns into this, we can call it a haluva kick. For those who don't know, I'm sure you'll know Sami Zayn's finishing move, but it was this running boot, and Raquel Gonzalez turns into it to eat the whole thing. I thought it was fantastically done. I thought it was so well done. Raquel Gonzalez is basically being built up by Dakota Kai saying, you know, for as long as you have me in your corner, you will always be champion. Only for her to go into the corner and come out of the corner and eat the boot. And it's foretelling some doom that could be in store for Raquel Gonzalez. And I thought this was some storytelling that was done so well and done at the highest level. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
So who do you think should go over in the feud when it eventually takes place?
Here's the thing. I think Vince is huge on Raquel Gonzalez. Yeah. And what I see happening is her going up to the main roster, and this is a way to expedite her there. I think what's going to end up happening is Dakota Kai is going to end up winning this, but it's more to leave the belt in NXT so Raquel Gonzalez can go either to Raw or SmackDown and challenge. Vince is high on her. She's a tall girl. She's fit. She's big. She's one of those. She's his prototypical type of champion. You know, tall, athletic looking, can move in the ring. The thing is, she doesn't cut a great promo, and she doesn't really get you interested. Dakota Kai does all of her talking, but she's got the look that Vince likes. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. Now, I think Raquel Gonzalez should retain, but she's on a fast track to either Raw or SmackDown. So that's what's going to happen there. What did you think of Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross continuing to kind of build this story? And it looks as though they are set for a match now at the next the next takeover for NXT. Did you like this build? Do you think it's going to deliver?
See, here's the weird part, which is kind of funny with how WWE operates. They want to reintroduce Samoa Joe as this badass character, and I think that they're going to do it at the expense of Karrion Kross, who then is going to turn around and have a little bit of push on the main roster. So it's kind of backwards ass thinking in that you probably, potentially, hopefully I'm wrong, but you probably would want Karrion Kross to get over on both sides, and then you have a star and you have somebody that's a monster. But you look at it and you're like, you know what? If Samoa Joe is on the path now for the title, it would behoove WWE and Triple H to start off this new reincarnation, this new version of Samoa Joe with a nice victory in a feud. So it's going to be great. I think it's going to be, you know, two wrestlers that can put on a nice brawling type match. And I think it's going to be just fine, especially in the NXT style where at a takeover or, you know, a special event, you're going to have a 20-minute match where they can tell a story. It's going to be amazing to watch, and I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it should be a good time. I think you're right, though. The way it is currently set up, it is for Karrion Kross to basically put over Samoa Joe, which doesn't make sense. But this is the world we live in with WWE. It is what it is. I think it's going to deliver because I think Samoa Joe is great. Like, he's not Samoa Joe of Impact. And I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend Alyssa as we were watching. I was like, Samoa Joe is so damn good at so many things. I was like, it's not like he was when he was in Impact. And basically Impact was built around him and AJ Styles. And there were some other talents that were there, but he was like a beast unleashed in Impact. And I feel like they have some training wheels on him now. But that being said, I do expect this to deliver because I think they're both really, really good. I think they're both really, really entertaining in the ring. Let's switch gears a little bit. You want to give us a couple highlights from Impact this week?
Oh, it's always a highlight when the man, the belt collector, Kenny Omega shows up with the Good Brothers and we're getting an established feud and, you know, they're all talking shit and I loved it because, you know, the Good Brothers are hyping up Kenny Omega and they're saying Kenny Omega is better than Ric Flair. And that just draws the ire of Sami Callihan, who comes out and is just livid. And he's like, he's going to have set up a tag team match next week, which is must see. It's going to be the Good Brothers, Kenny Omega, taking on Sami Callihan and two surprise people. Now, it could be potentially the returning Frankie Kazarian, and it could also be Tommy Dreamer in this match, but it's going to be a surprise, so we'll see. It's going to be great to see. And I'm just really, really excited to see how the continuation of Kenny Omega with the Good Brothers continues to occur. Now, the beginning of the show was okay. You know, you're building off of Slammiversary and you're moving toward the next big pay-per-view in October, which is called Bound for Glory. And, you know, it was good to see the debut. Jay White and Chris Bay took on the Good Brothers. Unfortunately for White and Bay, the Good Brothers went over. And it makes sense because obviously two guys with experience are going to be two guys tag teaming for the first time. But like we've said before, though, you got this star in Jay White. I thought maybe you would present him in a little different way, maybe get him a little bit over, maybe a surprise win, because you're not going to hurt the Good Brothers by letting Jay White get over. But bottom line, what you're seeing is that Chris Bay is the guy that's going to get the light. Chris Bay is legit, and he's going to get the light shined on him, but everyone's kind of confused by that booking decision. Taylor Wilde taking on Khalib, with Wilde getting over. Nothing ho-hum about that. You had an 8-man tag with Finn Juicebot and No Way defeating Austin, Fulton, Shara, and Raju. It was okay, fun, spirited 8-man, which is what these matches are intended to accomplish. You had Violent by Design taking on Rich Swann and Willie Mack, with Swann and Mack getting the victory. The match was amazing, and it's just really, really cool to see the elevation of Rich Swann and Willie Mack and things like that. Violent by Design, really interesting group. I think that, the group captained by Eric Young has the potential to be main event stuff, but we'll see what goes on in the continuation of this group. But like I said, right now, Rich Swann, Willie Mack, they're on their way up, and we get it. It was a good match too. I think that, right now what we've asked for in WWE is kind of the elevation of the mid-card, and we're getting a lot of that in Impact. Highlighting the night, you had Chris Sabin taking on Moose, and it was a rematch of Slammiversary, and Moose got over in this one. So I was definitely intrigued. I liked it, and I think that it was just, the way I'll put it is that Moose is just this interesting character that just has this physicality and this good ring psychology. And then you got Chris Sabin, just a veteran, doing his thing. So, Moose gets over in this one, and which is weird because you don't expect the television match to outdo the match that takes place on a pay-per-view, but it did. So there was a post-match brawl. It was all good, and I just think that this episode was a good one. I would say right now, as we progress toward Bound for Glory, Impact has been solid. Are they doing enough to potentially win new fans over? That's yet to be determined. But for hardcore fans that are watching Impact, it's a good show, and you're starting to see really great characters. The infusion of New Japan is just going to help everybody involved. You got the likes of Chris Sabin, Moose, you got Violent by Design, Willie Mack, Sami Callihan. Everybody's just kind of inching their way up. But for me, the way I look at it is it's nice to see them going up from rung 1 to rung 4. But I'm a 42-year-old wrestling fan watching now for 35 years. I want to see rung 9, 10, 11 get up a little higher. They're inching their way up there. I just kind of want to take that leap forward. And basically what Impact needs is they need a mega star. They need a Rock. They need their own creation to kind of say, we must tune in every night. Now, I'm a hardcore fan. I'm going to tune in. But if I look at it and I put my hat on it and I say, will they draw somebody just casually? No, not good enough yet. Inching there, but they got to do a lot more to build characters. And we'll see how they do. But so far, like I said, B- show, entertaining. And stay tuned next week for our next edition of the Impact Review.
Yeah, I think bringing in a guy like Jay White, it's awesome to see a lot of these New Japan stars here on different American wrestling promotions like AEW, like Impact. And I think bringing a dude like Jay White over to Impact, Jay White is a superstar. I think him being in New Japan and not having a great television promotion to kind of push New Japan Wrestling, it's hard for a lot of casual fans to find out who he is. But I think this is a great launching pad for him. I think it's fantastic. I think they're doing really good work over in Impact. Now, speaking of good work, AEW is doing some really good things. Well, what did you think of Fight for the Fallen, man?
I loved every minute of it. I mean, first and foremost, we just got to get right to the point. I never in a million years thought I'd see a pizza cutter on television. In my wildest dreams, I envisioned what that match was going to look like. Obviously now with this character that Nick Gage that everybody saw from the biopic or the bio show that they had on Vice. And then you have Matt Cardona winning. And I don't know if you have it in your news just yet, but everybody freaked out online when they saw the reaction of fans to his win. You saw him all bloodied up. So you're like, man, AEW is willing to go there? Oh, hell yeah, they're willing to go there. Nick Gage was like, all right, I'm here. Here's my shtick. Take it or leave it. And he brought out the pizza thing. Now, of course, it looked like a dummy version of it because, you don't go back and forth over someone's head with a pizza blade and nothing starts squirting out like viciously. But it was a visual. It was done well. Chris Jericho is the perfect wrestler to have this kind of match with. When he did that move and he sent Gage with the Hurricane Rana through the glass, I popped. It was awesome. Jericho went over. But bottom line, you had a gruesome match, and Nick Gage brought out the pizza cutter. So I just was fixated on that. I loved every minute of that match. I was enthralled. I just couldn't believe it was on television.
Yeah, it was. I didn't think
wild as
that.
Shit.
Yeah, I didn't think AEW would go there, especially not on regular television. But they went there. I mean, you had 4 fluorescent tube light bulbs taped together and used as essentially baseball bats. You had a sheet plane of glass, an actual window that was laid out on 2 chairs, and look, Nick Gage got slammed through it. It was freaking bonkers. I thought it was absolutely nuts, and that was how they capped the night off. I thought Fight for the Fallen overall was outrageous. It was in your face. It was fantastic, and they capped it off with this match. If you guys get a chance, go check out what took place with Matt Cardona, Nick Gage, in the GCW match. Matt Cardona just bloodied and covered. The end of that match was absolutely nuts, with everybody throwing bottles into the ring and trying to beam Matt Cardona. Since we're talking about Chris Jericho, ends up winning the match. He moves on to now his third task of Jericho, where he has to take on Juventud Guerrero next week. What was your impression of that? Like, look, I loved Juventud Guerrero when he wrestled in WCW, but he's got to be like damn near 60 now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm like. It's like, what is this, the Hall of Fame edition of wrestling? But, bro, we've seen it now, bro. We saw Terry Funk wrestle at 60 years old. We've seen Arn Anderson take bumps. Are we really surprised right now, old dudes? I mean, the Muda would show up. I've watched some of these guys when I type them in, and they're still showing up in terms of having matches. Obviously, we've seen the New Japan, the older Japanese wrestler that showed up that had a great match that's been a legend. So, hell, if you're going to do it, it's time, man. When's Disco Inferno coming back? We need the disco, baby.
Disco Inferno.
Fever. We need Disco Inferno, and then it'll come full circle. Or, if he's still alive, and you can look it up maybe before the news, is if Alex Wright is still there, he can come do that funky dance, and everyone, I think everybody would do that dance. If you remember Alex Wright, I think his name was, he was a German wrestler.
Yep.
Type it in there, and then he would just put his hands over his head, kind of like the Bushwhackers, but with a little bit more swagger. I tried to do that. It just didn't come out right. I'm trying to time my feet with my arms, but I just type in Alex Wright. And when he'd come out, he did this thing where he would just kind of like swivel his hips, put his arms over his head, and kind of dance like a disco. It was sweet. So I want to see that. Hell, if you're going to have the WCW Hall of Fame, man, Juventud Guerrero, obviously Chavo Guerrero came out. He's back. Vicky's back. It's a WCW reunion, baby, which is being heavily influenced by Chris Jericho and everybody that's been an alum. Is like, hey, let's just honor this the right way and give everybody a paycheck. And hell, as long as Juventud walks in and walks out, Chris Jericho's getting over. So it's fun. It's all good. And look, for me, and maybe you agree or disagree, Jericho should keep the Painmaker till the end of the year, dude. That's a sweet ass gimmick. I think that I like that one just a little bit more than Le Champion, in my opinion.
The Painmaker is his alternative personality to get dark and gruesome with you. So I like the fact that he's got multiple Chris Jerichos he can go to. Speaking of coming back, though, at this point, I think it's all but solidied. CM Punk is coming back to AEW.
Oh my god!
And Darby Allin kind of challenged him. He teased it a little bit. Look, so this is what I'm going to say, and then we can talk about this. I am going to bet my reputation for being a wrestling guy on the fact that CM Punk will be back in AEW when they go with AEW Rampage in Chicago. CM Punk will debut then, and it will set up a massive pay-per-view buy number for the following pay-per-view that will take place a day or two later. What did you make of Darby Allin basically dancing around calling CM Punk out. Basically said it without saying it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let me get my calendar in order because if you guys know and follow Doc and Jock, I also cover the Lions. And right now, 4 days just flew by, and I don't even know what day it is at this moment. I know that I told Adam, based on the schedule, the NFL is starting, so shit's getting wild, and days are just flying by. When is the Rampage, and when's potentially the pay-per-view? Is the Rampage on a Wednesday?
Rampage is going to be on Friday. So AEW is going to go to two shows. So Dynamite will be the Wednesday, and then Rampage is going to be the Friday show.
Okay. So late August or early September?
Yes. That is when it is set.
Okay. So looking at
I will look up the pay-per-view for you right now.
Okay. So that's good. August, it could be the 27th. Is that Friday? It could be September 3rd. Oh my God, baby. I can't wait, dude. It's like 4 weeks away. I can't wait, dude, because I will be glued. I will not do anything. I don't care if the Lions trade Goff, if Goff goes down with ACL injury. I don't care. I'm watching that show that night, top to bottom, minute to minute. We'll have our group going. I can't wait.
This is the way it's set up. It is set up for All Out on September 5th.
Okay, that's a Sunday, so that means Friday the 3rd.
Yes.
Friday, September 3rd, baby. That's the Chicago Rampage. Oh, my God. So we are literally, I'm counting the days right now. 1 plus 31 days is 32 plus 35 days away. We're going to count it down 35 days away, cuz, from the biggest reaction. And we've all seen 7 years real fast before we get to the end in the professional wrestling news and notes. 7 years. Is it enough? Is he going to be like the Ultimate Warrior, where he came into a huge pop but then faded and was gone after a year? Or is this something where it's a rebirth and you get an opportunity to see this dude for the next 5 or 6 years? Long term? Or is this just a big, huge tease, money grab, and he'll take it and leave after a year?
Oh, I think it's long term. I think here's the thing. They've made so many concessions to him. He gets to be in charge of his own character. He gets to basically do whatever it is that he wants to do. On top of it, he's there with some of his boys. Like, he's boys with the Jacksons. He's boys with a lot of the guys who are part of the elite. He's boys with Cody Rhodes. He's boys with all these guys. Like, these are his people. So I think he misses it. I think he's going to enjoy having creative control of his character. What's going to be interesting to me is to see how he deals with somebody telling him no, and if Nick Khan has the stones to basically tell him no. If Tony Khan has the stones to tell him no, not Nick Khan. Nick Khan's running WWE. If Tony Khan has the stones to tell him no, again, he's got creative control over his character. But all that being said, Tony Khan's going to have final say. And if it doesn't mesh with what Tony Khan has envisioned, he's going to have the balls to step up and be like, no, we're not doing this. And does he have those balls to tell arguably one of the biggest names in wrestling, no, we're not going to do what you want to do? And then to CM Punk pout. Here's the thing. CM Punk acts a lot of times like a spoiled child. As great as he is, he doesn't get his way. He throws a fit, and usually he takes his ball and he goes home. Does he do that? It's going to be really interesting to see how all these egos end up playing out. I do think it's long term. I think the only way this ends up ending, and I think it will at some point end, and I think it will end very volatilely, is if CM Punk gets upset and is just like, you know what, screw it, I'm out. And it's because Tony Khan has a different vision. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, man.
Yeah, the reason why I probably won't go the way of the Warrior is because he can talk on the mic, he can elicit a reaction, he can draw heat, he can be the ultimate babyface, he can wrestle. So this has the potential just to be awesome. I mean, hell, even a stare down CM Punk and Sting, dude, come on, get the fuck out of here. You just can't. How are you going to compete with that? Even if it's just a stare down, is worth the price of admission alone. You could just leave it there and just fixate on those guys just jibber jabbering for 5 minutes on camera, and it would just be awesome. CM Punk, Sting, CM Punk, Christian Cage, CM Punk, Chris Jericho. Good Lord. You could see so much. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. Oh my gosh, Eddie Edwards, John Moxley. He literally could fight 15 people and anybody would pay to see it. So well worth the investment. Welcome back. I can't wait to see how the wrestling world reacts to it. And it's just, 7 years, man. Far, far too long for one of the greats, one of the best in the world. All right, cuz, hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes.
So, New Day hype man and the largest member of the New Day, Big E, wants to go back to his original full name. Yes, his full name. In a recent episode of the Feel the Power podcast, Big E said that he wants to go back to being called Big E Langston. So it's going to be interesting to see if WWE allows a name change. He is Mr. Money in the Bank, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Big E's name going forward. So watch for that. Now, WWE is planning a Queen of the Ring tournament that would kick off this October. The tournament is speculated to start October 8th's edition of SmackDown and will continue on the following Monday Night Raw. The initial report said that the tentative plan was this was going to be just a special for Peacock, but they are evolving it into including SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. Now, all that being said, a new report came out today. WWE is planning on holding an October show in Saudi Arabia. This will be the first time they're in Saudi Arabia since February of 2020. And the finals of the Queen of the Ring will take place then in Saudi Arabia. This is to help kind of show that Saudi Arabia is progressive. Again, if you remember the first time they were in Saudi Arabia, only men were allowed in the arena. Women were not allowed to go. Also, there's a whole lot of lesbian, gay, and bi issues that go on with members of the Arab community in Saudi Arabia. So it's to try to show that they're being progressive. It'll be interesting to see how this takes place and see what happens with it all. Just to kind of remind you a little bit, Queen of the Ring is a bit of a play off of the King of the Ring tournament, which dates back to 1985. Now, some of the biggest news to come out this week is Vince's take on AEW and how he feels about AEW. And this might raise your blood pressure a little bit. We might have to have a small conversation after. I'm not sure how you're going to feel. But during WWE's second quarter earnings call this Thursday, Vince McMahon was asked about AEW and how much it is investing in their roster and the progress that they have made in terms of competing with WWE. And according to Mark Middleton, McMahon said the following: well, it's certainly not a situation where rising tides, because that was when WCW owner Ted Turner was coming after us with all of Time Warner's assets as well. That was a different situation. AEW is where they are. I don't really know what their plans are. All I know is what ours are. I don't consider them competition in the way that I would consider WCW back in the day. Not anywhere near close to that. He went on to say that basically WWE has their blinders on, kind of like a horse does, and basically all they can see is what is in front of them. They're not worried about what AEW is doing. They're only worried about what WWE is doing. And I think that is a huge mistake if you're WWE, because AEW is the superior brand right now. If you ask me, I think AEW is a much, much better product than whatever WWE is trying to cram down our throats.
Yeah, and here's what Vince is really saying. He's like, his opinion is like AEW is the MLS of wrestling, where, okay, I get my star, I tap the full potential, I get all the money I can get out of a guy, and then they go off to another thing. But unfortunately, yeah, I mean, has anybody that's gone over to WWE besides Moxley and Jericho, have they really just gone and become anything major? It's like a parallel move currently with Malachi Black now getting a little bit more featured. We'll see how that looks with Cody Rhodes. But, you know, I would say that, you know, Miro is okay, but he's kind of mid-card, upper mid-card. You have, you know, Christian Cage, who's more of a veteran. So I think, though, the debut of Punk and Daniel Bryan changes the game, because Daniel Bryan is massively over. So it's very much so that if AEW basically has to look at it from the perspective of a great first 2 years, similarly, if they want to, if they continue to raise big capital, if the initial investments come in, then yeah, then they can go after a Roman Reigns, they can go after a Bobby Lashley and just go pick off the top guy. That's where Vince has to kind of keep his head on a swivel and pay attention, in that AEW is not going to just roll in and take the top star right away, because they're building a brand. They're building their stars. And right now the seed is planted, and they're about to have the biggest buzzworthy wrestling name show up on their show. And then we're not even talking about Daniel Bryan. So the tide is turning slowly. But like I said, here's where WWE is lucky in that they've signed $2 billion deals. They got enough cash flow to handle everything. But the big problem is their brand is not growing. It's there. People like it. And now they're just going to ride the wave of seeing the fans for the next 6 months. And then I think we'll take a deeper dive right around the time the Rumble starts of next year, because now all the fans are giddy and excited just to see every city. And you can ride that out for the rest of this year. This year's the reunion tour. That's it. We missed it. We're going to enjoy all of the acts that come through in each town, and then now you're going to have to then reintroduce the audience to your product, and you got to make sure it's good, especially on television, because right now you're seeing it. Everyone's riding high off of coming back on television. So yet to be determined, but Vince has to pay attention, and I think they are with Triple H. And this is just a public statement. They know what's going on. He knows every detail. This guy's not oblivious. He has people telling him, and he's got to figure it out. And we'll see how this product now turns with Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, and the buzz they get off of SummerSlam. We will see how they respond to the fall.
I think there's a little bit of danger for AEW, and it's investing in all of these former WWE talents or all these older names. They've got to stay true to themselves, and they've got to help elevate their own characters. Guys like Jungle Boy, guys that are the Varsity Blues. You got to be able to elevate these guys and bring them up as well and make them into superstars. You have to be able to make your own stars. If you can't do that, you're just going to end up falling into the same trap that WCW fell into.
Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Make sure when these great wrestling events happen, feel free to message, because I'm going Sunday, baby. Taking my nephew. He's excited. We're going to see the show August 1st, Sunday night. Can't wait to give you guys a recap. He was excited. I booked the tickets a month ago, right when they came out. I'll be messed up. I definitely want to see what it's like with the WWE audience for the first time, feeling the music, some Asuka. I want to see potentially AJ Styles, maybe Cena. Who the hell knows? But it's going to be a fun time. I can't wait to recap it, man. This was fun. Always enjoy, even after a long week, I always enjoy breaking down professional wrestling. Have you peeked at SmackDown? Anything interesting, or was it no long-ass intro promo?
It looks like Cena cut a pretty hot promo on Roman Reigns.
Nice.
Can't wait to, once we finish recording, I'm going to go back and start the DVR from the get-go and watch it all.
Nice. It's going to be good, bro. Thank you guys for tuning in to the latest edition of Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. Comes out Saturdays. Thanks, everyone.